really important for people to hear the update on this story. Okay, so Eloro announced some very important news this week. About 2 days ago, they announced some very significant drill results from the first round of drilling, really, at this Iska project in Bolivia. Okay, this photograph is a picture of the mountain at Iska. Basically, this is an extinct volcano. Okay, this is a volcano that's kind of eroded away partially. All right, and you know, with a volcano, you get the kind of the neck or the vent where the rock comes out of the ground. You know, basically, what you have here is a system where magma is down in the ground that didn't actually erupt. These are the ones that were still parked down in the ground, maybe a kilometer or two. They flushed all this metal up into the vent, the throat of the volcano. Okay, so our target here is basically looking at the vents at the top of this volcano and probing down into them to find the mineralization. What kind of system are we looking for? We're looking for what's called a polymetallic system. Okay, poly meaning many. It's got many metals. All right, and we'll talk about that. Go ahead. Okay, a little bit about the companies. It's a very tight share structure. Only 52 million shares out, 63 fully dilute. They did a raise recently, have about 6 in the bank, which is great because we can just plow on and keep drilling. The market capitalization, I think, is now out of date. I think the price has appreciated more, and for good reason. This is a major, major discovery that they've made. Go ahead. Okay, this image talks about this. By the way, all of these come from the deck, the investor deck on Iska on the website. Okay, so people can go there and read the whole thing at their leisure. Okay, what you see here in the lower left is the Potassium District, which is about 180 kilometers, I think, north of us at Iska. It's a similar style deposit. What is this? Well, this is the single largest silver deposit on Earth, right there in front of you. Okay, that lower left photograph shows you Cerro de Rico de Potosi, which is basically the rich mountain of Potosi. Okay, that's literally how it's translated. This thing has produced something like 2.1 billion ounces of silver, plus a lot of other metals. Okay, tin, zinc, lead, even a bit of gold and other things have all been mined from here. All right, there is also a lot of metal remaining. There's something like, at least 500 million tons of silver ore, silver polymetallic ore remaining. Okay, now I've put the picture from Eloro's Iska project immediately to the right of there so you can compare. Now, what's the difference? Okay, there's a little bit of difference here, and here's what it is. The erosional level at Iska hasn't quite cut down to the same level as Potosi. Okay, there's a bit of stuff over the top. Well, what does that mean? Well, it means that we have potential for an entirely preserved Potosi at Iska. In other words, underneath that ginormous mountain there could be an entirely preserved Potosi type system. I mean, this is where this story gets really exciting. Okay, and I'll show you what we've uncovered here recently. Go to the next slide, please. Okay, so this is a geologic map looking down on that mountain. Okay, and these circular things with the stippled texture, those are the breccia pipes, those vent-like features where stuff erupted out of the ground eons ago. Okay, over here on the right-hand side, you can see that these breccia pipes are all part of a greater, what we call Caldera Complex, and the Caldera Complex is something like a couple, almost 2 kilometers across, not quite, but almost. Okay, these breccia pipes, in particular the Santa Barbara breccia pipe, which is shown there on the left-hand side, they're big. That's a 400-meter diameter pipe. And then there's another breccia immediately to the south of Santa Barbara called the Central Breccia, which is kind of an oblong-shaped one, but it's something like 700 meters north-south and like 400 meters east-west, another very, very, very big pipe. We actually started drilling the little guy up there in the northeast corner, the upper right corner, this Huayacasa pipe. That was where our first target was. Okay, and we started drilling, believe it or not, from underground. We actually went into little adit where the artisanal miners operate, and we started poking holes into that pipe from underground. And we had some interesting numbers back in November. But what changed was as we realized, that's weird. There's a lot of mineralization right here in this drill station, that, this underground drill station. Where's it coming from? Well, we turned around, we looked, and we realized the bigger source was probably the Santa Barbara pipe. Okay, so we started poking holes over there, and you can see the traces of the holes that reach out and tested that. And we've just released 3 holes from our drill test into the Santa Barbara pipe. Now, hole 13 kind of drilled along the north margin. It hit interesting mineralization, nothing, home run, but it's okay. But hole 15, which drilled into the pipe and went about, it's kind of a bit of a glancing blow, but it drilled 257 meters of mineralized breccia. I'll talk about that here. Okay, so flip to the next slide. Okay, so this image has 2 sets of drill holes. On the right-hand side of that cross-section, you can see the drill traces for the holes we drilled from underground. Okay, that includes hole 15, which has that long red line. We hit 257 meters of about 130 gram silver equivalent. It's silver plus zinc plus lead and some other things. I'll talk about that more in a minute. It gives us our first test that there's something big in that pipe. Okay, that pipe is mineralized. And if anything, it was getting better as we were getting deeper and deeper in that drill hole. Now, notice we because of the excitement around that, we could see back in October that we were onto something. They cut a road all the way up to the top of the mountain, and they drilled holes from the very tippy top of the mountain. Okay, the first hole 1, kind of goes at 45, interesting, but hole 2 goes at a steeper angle, minus 60, and it goes down into the ground. It goes through the Santa Barbara breccia, very interesting rock. Then it goes through a bit of the wall rock between the 2 pipes. Then it goes to the central breccia. Okay, so basically that hole tested both breccia pipes, and wow, there's a lot of mineralized breccia in both pipes in that hole. Okay, so this is very exciting. Okay, so this is what's getting us stoked, because look at the scale here. I mean, we're talking about, in this, I think it's like 500 meters or so from surface down to the bottom of the image. These things will go down a long way, guys. There's no sign that the porphyry's right there. It's down there somewhere, because we're seeing tin and copper and stuff. So we know there's a mothership down there somewhere. But right now, the pipes themselves have potential to host a huge inventory of mineralization. Okay, so what gets us really excited? Let's go to the next image, please. Okay, there's our mineralized breccia. That comes out of hole 15. So that's part of that 257 meter intercept. That's what it looks like. It's very consistent through the entire interval. Like it's basically sulfide minerals flooding the matrix, the void space between the breccia fragments. So think of this as the volcanic stuff that got caught in the vent, the throat, and then later fluids came up and filled in the matrix, the void space between those breccia fragments. Unbelievable stuff. I mean, this is fantastic. People say, well, okay, so, is this it? Well, no, it gets better. Okay, go to the next slide. Okay, so let's look at metal for just a second before I give the punchline here. Okay, so if you look here, we've got our 257 meter interval, and what we've done is broken down all the metal that was assayed in this. And there, like I said, there's a lot of different metals. There's silver, gold, zinc, lead, copper, tin, indium, bismuth, cadmium. There's even some more, but enough's enough. All right, but what does this tell us? First of all, that tells us we're in a Potassium type system. This is exactly what you would like to see in a Potassium type system. Okay, yes, the silver is about an ounce, not a huge number, but you know what? When you're talking about finding targets that are going to be hundreds of millions or perhaps billion plus tons, that's a lot of silver. Okay, but you also have a lot of zinc, you have a lot of lead, you have a bit of copper, you have 0.056 tin. That's high, guys. That's over a pound per ton tin. Tin is something like $11 a pound right now. Okay, like you add these up and you start talking about real value in the rock. Now look at the subintervals below that. Okay, I want you to glance. What we try to do is kind of shade the percentages of metal contribution from each interval, subinterval there. All right, and you can see like that first sub-interval, silver actually carries most of the credit. Whereas, as you scroll down, you'll see down towards the bottom there, at the very bottom, there's 29.58 meters, where silver carries about 21%. But guess what? Gold is starting to pick up. Gold will be an important part of this system. Okay, zinc is also zinc is also reasonably high there. But what we're seeing is the copper. Okay, the copper's starting to kick in as you go deeper. So copper's starting to pick up. The other thing that's picking up, tin, 0.112% tin. Holy smokes, that's almost 3 pounds of tin per ton. Okay, most people don't know the tin market. I actually did my dissertation and my master's on tin, so I get excited about tin. Okay, and a system that carries this much tin, that's a big system, and it's something to get really fired up about. Okay, go to the next slide. Punchline time. Okay, these two pictures that you're looking at, these are core boxes. First one on the left is out of the bottom of that surface hole we drilled, hole number 2. What are we looking at? We're looking at massive sulfide. Do you see the breccia effect? No, the breccia has been obliterated. We're actually seeing an increase in sulfide as we go deeper in these drill holes. The very end of that hole ended in bad ground. It was broken up and they had to cut the hole off. But you can see right there, we basically did a face plant in what will likely be significantly mineralized rock. Okay, this is potassium type stuff. Okay, the picture on the right hand side, that's from hole 3, which was an east directed hole, again down deep into the Santa Barbara pipe. We see massive sulfides once again. Holy smokes, guys. Okay, this is getting exciting. I told you that I think we're standing on the top of an entirely preserved potassium. This is why. When I see this rock, I get super duper fired up. Okay, go to the next slide, please. Are we out? Surely that's not it. No, I think there's two more. Okay, here's our Caldera Complex. Okay, everybody's kind of obsessed with the breccia pipes right now, which is justified because that's where we're seeing these goodies. So we've drilled that Santa Barbara pipe, which is the bigger red, dash line pipe up there in the upper left. We also know that the central breccia pipe is well mineralized because some of that massive sulfide is actually down in that central breccia. Okay, so that big oblong one, the north-south one, is also mineralized. And then there's other pipes we haven't even tested yet. But, okay, think of it this way. That entire circle is basically an outline of what is the magma chamber pushing up from depth. It's what we call a caldera. And that entire thing is probably underlain somewhere down in the ground. Don't know how deep, but by a porphyry, what we call a porphyry. It's a magma that has large crystals in it. That came up and it basically parked itself about, I don't know, a kilometer or 2 down, and it's the one that fed all the fluids up here. So we're sitting again on the tippy top of a really, really, really big system. Go to the next slide. Okay, so this last diagram is a schematic. It was actually put together by Osvaldo Arce. Look, Osvaldo is the brains behind this. Osvaldo, Bolivian geologist, smart as a whip. He is the one that literally wrote the book on this deposit type. He's drawn data from all over southern Bolivia. So he's pulled together data from innumerable deposits of this type. And you can see here, he's kind of put these things in different positions, in the schematic section.
Quinton, do you have the book there by you just to show the audience?
Yeah, let me grab it.
It's a good idea.
Okay.
There we go.
All right. Look at that sucker. That thing is huge. All right. Whoops, I got to turn it this way. So there you go. And then down here you can see Osvaldo's name. Whoops, I'm rolling in there. There we go, down there.
Oh, good. Right. Thank you.
You betcha. Okay, so there we go. So let's compare Iska to some of these other, and most of these are world-class deposits, guys. Okay, let's compare it. Okay, where we're at geologically is basically at the same level, so maybe slightly higher, maybe about 200 meters higher than Cerro de Rica de Potosi. In other words, we're in the same geologic environment. We're in that volcanic edifice, which in this case is green. It's showing the vent thingy in green colors. And then down there below us is a magma chamber. Okay, that big pink thing is basically the mothership. So this is kind of the profile of what we would expect to see. Yes, I think we're onto a major, major system. If anything, as well, oh, shut up. But look, there's operating mines in the country. San Cristobal is operated by Sumitomo. Look, Silver Sand is what do you call them? New Pacific. Look, there's my brain's not working.
Pan American's got one there.
Pan American, thank you. Good grief. Pan American is operating the San Vicente deposit. So there's lots of operating mines here, and for example, let's pick one like Tasna, which is operated. I think it's still in operation, but it was mined for many years. Huge deposit. Not too many people outside Bolivia know these things, but these are just incredible deposits. The metallurgy, everybody says, oh, what about the metallurgy? You got all these weird metals. You know what? Every single one of these is metallurgically friendly. You grind it up and you produce flotation concentrates, like a galena concentrate for lead, but it also captures the silver and oftentimes the gold. And then you produce a zinc concentrate, usually just zinc, or maybe there's a bit of silver in it. But then you produce a copper con that might capture gold. You can produce a tin con, which captures the indium. Maybe the indium goes with the zinc. In short, look, the mill circuit, I'm sure, will look like a Rube Goldberg, kind of trap thing. But that's how these things work. And every single one of them has been wonderfully productive, wonderfully profitable, huge mines that make people lots and lots of money.
Hey, Quinton, let me ask you a question. I hope I'm not putting you in a spot. And if I am, just pass on the question. But I know there's a lot of variables, obviously, even in the success of the future discoveries. But if you could, with the information you have right now, the value of the metals today, not in the future, but what would you think is the range of value of metal in the ground today? Okay,
look, if you just use the raw numbers, I think you come up with over 100. It's like $110 a ton or something with those raw numbers in hole 15. Okay, the 257 meter intercept. You're just playing with raw numbers. You just chuck them in a bag. I think you get about 110. That's not meant to look. I don't want to give people the impression you just can hand over a ton of rock and get $110 back. Okay, that's not how it works. But it gives people a sense of the importance of this type of rock. It does have a lot of metal value in it. Yeah, we're going to have to do lots of work, metallurgy and drilling it out and to get it up to that level. But it's a phenomenal metal system. And again, I can't emphasize enough that these mines that I showed you, the little schematic section there, all of them are world-class. They produce huge profits for the companies that held them. Look at Sumitomo. They were mining San Cristobal. They were producing silver at negative cost because they were using the zinc and the lead, costs to cover the silver. They were producing, I think, 26 million ounces of free silver a year. It's obscene.
Wow.
Yeah. So anyway, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
That's great, Quinton. And I thought I heard you say that these Potassium type deposits, and this one in particular, could be over a billion tons. Is that? Did I get that right?
They have that kind of potential. Look, we got to drill it and make sure it's there. But the one thing that's nice, guys, is this: because these are such big systems, these breccias just kind of seem to soak in the fluid. You can poke a few holes down into your breccia, and you can get a sense of scale very, very quickly. Okay, so the money we have in the bank right now can buy us, I think, around 12,000, 15,000 meters of drilling, and we should have a lot of answers from that. We're also going to go ahead and start metallurgical testing. Like, let's get to it. Let's not waste time. But this is a system where it's amenable to drilling a few holes and getting a really good picture of how big it might be very quickly. So touch wood, I think we're heading in the right direction here.
Godzilla.
With silver being the predominant metal here, as you said, I think our listeners should know at Crescat we have an extremely bullish outlook for silver. We think it's it's incredibly cheap relative to gold. It's It's essentially been through a 10-year bear market, and this type of deposit, even at 25 or so silver today, could be highly profitable at over 4 ounces of silver equivalent per ton here, but just think what this type of deposit could do in a rising silver price environment. How much this thing could be worth.
Well said. All right.
That's all I think about, Kevin.
Silver? No, that's all I think about, Quinton.
No, he said, just think about how much this could be worth, and that's what I think about.
I'm kidding. All right. So
at Crescat, we have done 2 rounds of financing for Eloro. Gave them the lead order on the money to do their drilling program, and Crescat's got an over 13% stake in this company.
Look, this is a swing for the fence kind of thing, guys. In May or June or whenever we did the placement last year, no clue that this would really be there. Okay, but it shows what can be done. We put the capital in. The guys did what they agreed to. They started drilling. September rolled up with the drill, and guess what? Here we are, 5 or 6 months later. Wow,